All right, team, welcome back to TNT Digital Mindset. Today, I'm really excited to dive into some cutting-edge stuff. I've been poring over the latest research on digital trends, and honestly, it's fascinating. I've even leveraged some advanced AI, yeah, you heard that right, to break down the core insights. This way, we can get straight to the actionable strategy. So without further ado, let's jump in.
Welcome back to TNT Digital Mindset. We've analyzed the latest data on the AI boom to help you sharpen your strategic thinking.
Okay, so the big question, it's on everyone's mind, right? Are we in an AI bubble? It feels like everybody is talking about it. The stakes feel huge. Is this the real deal, a massive tech revolution, or is this a financial disaster just waiting to happen? We're going to break down the strongest arguments, both for and against, to get to the bottom of it.
All right, first up, let's look at the bull case. This is the argument that says, hey, this whole AI thing, it's built on solid ground. Now, I know what you're thinking. .com bubble, right? But when you really dig in, you'll see the foundations this time around are, well, they're worlds apart.
So check this out, because the real difference maker is who's footing the bill. Back in the .com days, it was all about speculative venture capital, throwing money at wild ideas with zero profits. Remember Pets.com? Yeah. But today, we're talking about the biggest tech giants on the planet, your Googles, your Microsofts. They're not borrowing money, they're reinvesting record profits from businesses that already work. It's real cash. And maybe the most important part, utility. Back then, it was all just a promise of what the internet could be. Today, AI is already here, it's already useful, people are using it to code, to write, right now.
So if you're on Team Bull, this is your argument in a nutshell. The money is real, the tools are useful today, and this whole thing is built on top of an infrastructure, cloud computing, powerful GPUs that we've been building for decades. These trillion-dollar giants, they have the cash to see this thing through no matter how long it takes.
Okay, but that's just one side of the coin, isn't it? Now we have to look at the bear case, because for every person screaming revolution, there's someone else whispering that this whole thing is basically a house of cards, and it's way more fragile than it looks.
And the bear case starts with just one number. But it's a big one, 95%. Right now, that's just a number on a screen. But when you hear what it represents, well, it's a massive flashing red warning light for the entire AI industry.
Yeah, you heard that right, 95%. That's the percentage of companies that tried using generative AI and reported, get this, zero productivity gains. Some actually went backward. So you've got this insane amount of money pouring in, but for most businesses, it's not actually creating any real value. That's a huge disconnect.
And this really gets to the heart of the bear argument, It's this critical difference between something being useful and something being profitable. They're not the same thing. Look, an AI can write a great email for you, it can make a cool image, that's useful for sure. But is it making the company more money than it costs to run that AI? For the vast majority, the answer is a big, fat no.
You've probably heard that old saying, right? In a gold rush, sell shovels. Well, that perfectly sums up what's happening right now. The companies actually building the AI models, like OpenAI, they are hemorrhaging cash, losing staggering amounts of money. So who's making all the profit? NVIDIA. They're not mining for gold. They're selling the shovels, the computer chips that everybody else needs to do the mining.
And that really is the elephant in the room, isn't it? Running these giant AI models is just insanely expensive. Every single time you type a question into ChatGPT, it costs OpenAI real money to generate that answer. And guess what? Their subscription plans don't even come close to covering those costs. They're still deep, deep in the red. So, this leads to this really sketchy-sounding financial gimmick called round-tripping. Let me break it down for you. Step 1. A giant like NVIDIA invests a bunch of money into an AI company, say OpenAI. Step 2. OpenAI takes that exact same money and uses it to buy a ton of chips from NVIDIA. Step 3. NVIDIA books that purchase as brand new revenue. See the problem? It looks like amazing growth on their balance sheet, but it's just their own investment money coming back to them in a circle. It's not real organic growth. It's an illusion.
Okay, so if we are in a bubble, what's the pin that's going to pop it? You might be surprised. The biggest threat might not come from inside the AI world at all, but from the health of the entire global economy.
We usually think about it one way, right? A bubble gets too big, it bursts, and then it drags the whole economy down into a recession. Think about the 2008 housing crisis. But here, the much more likely scenario is actually the complete opposite. A general economic slowdown happens first, and that causes investors to get spooked and pull all their money out of risky things like AI.
The recession pops the bubble, not the other way around.
And just look at how concentrated this risk is. It's actually kind of shocking. Just 30 companies, all related to AI, now make up 44% of the entire S&P 500's value. Let that sink in for a second. Almost half the stock market's value is riding on a tiny handful of companies, all in the same sector. That is a massive bet.
And for us here at TNT Digital Mindset, this is the most critical strategic point to understand. This AI boom isn't happening off in its own little world. It's literally propping up the entire market.
And if you're still not quite sold on how important this is, let me just leave you with one more number: 0.1%.
That tiny number, that's what US GDP growth would look like if you took away all the money tech companies are spending on AI. Basically, nothing. The AI boom is acting like a mask, hiding some pretty serious weakness in the rest of the economy. And if that other part of the economy starts to stumble, the whole system could be in for a rough ride.
So, we've heard the bull case, we've heard the bear case. Where does that leave you? What's the big strategic takeaway you should walk away with?
We've laid out all the best arguments on both sides. But we thought, you know what, for a final word, let's do something a little meta. We took this entire analysis and we fed it to an AI. And then we asked it that one big question.
After crunching all that data, its answer was just one word: probably. You gotta love the irony, right? A perfectly fitting end to such a complicated question.
But here's the final thought we want to leave you with at TNT Digital Mindset. Even if it is a bubble, and even if it does pop, that's not necessarily the end of the world. A bust is also a reset. It clears away all the hype, all the noise, and it forces the real, sustainable value to come to the surface. Remember, the internet survived the dot-com crash and became, well, everything. The truly game-changing parts of AI, they'll survive too, and they'll probably come out even stronger on the other side.
If you want to master the digital economy, make sure to subscribe to TNT Digital Mindset. Thanks for listening.